Today, I'm taking a first look at the Ninja Massage Pro from Shogun Sports. 3.08 miles, 8 minutes, 55 seconds per mile, 142 beats per minute today, going for a nice and easy run. I'm in the taper week of my 10K training program with the Stride subscription service. So today's run was actually only supposed to be 20 minutes, but I have a really hard time running an easy, just 20-minute run. It just feels like you got to make it at least a little bit longer than that. Otherwise, what'd you get all dressed up for? But the main part of today was that I did keep it easy, and to help me to kind of recuperate, get ready for the time trial that I'll be doing this weekend, I also did a session with the new Ninja Massage Pro from Shogun Sports. Now, before I get into my thoughts on this percussive therapy device, I do want to go over some disclosures. This is a massage gun that was sent to me for the purpose of review by Shogun Sports. So I didn't have to pay for it, but they're not paying me to make this video or to use their product, and they're not going to get a chance to preview any of my thoughts or footage before you guys get a chance to see this video on YouTube. So with the disclosures out of the way, let's talk about this percussive device from Shogun Sports. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with these massage guns, they kind of look like power drills, and they kind of feel like power drills when you're holding them. And when you're like rubbing them into your leg, it kind of feels like you're power drilling your muscles. But what it is instead of a drill that kind of spins, what this does is it kind of like vibrates back and forth, and it pulses. And what that does is it sends vibrations into your leg muscles in a percussive kind of manner. That's why they call them percussive therapy devices. And it is a nice massage for your legs. It really helps with like deep tissue massage, getting into areas where like traditional massage might not work, because there's not only a percussive force, but there's also a frequency to it that also provides just a different kind of stimulus to your body. Now, I've used these kinds of devices before, like at different like clubs and gyms, but it's never been something that I really thought I needed. But that all changed once I started experiencing my own personal knee issues on my right side. I've been talking about it a lot on the channel, but basically what I think I have is a tendonitis, for those of you who haven't been kind of following. But one of the people or YouTube channels that I've been following a lot recently is Bob and Brad, the most famous physical therapists on the internet. They talk about percussive devices. And one of the things that I learned from them in terms of treating my tendonitis issue was they were suggesting doing like a deeper massage, like a concentrated massage on the tendons themselves in an attempt to kind of break any adhesions and also stimulate blood flow. And they were mentioning that when you're trying to get in there, if you do it for a long period of time, your hands actually might get tired. Even though your tendons could use more work, your hands might become fatigued. And so what they suggested was that you could use like a wand or a massage gun like this to help serve kind of the same function. I've always thought that these kind of devices were good on larger muscle groups, and they certainly are. But I also thought that these were really bad for getting near tendons and your bones and things like that. But these physical therapists on the internet were saying that it can be used there. You have to be careful, but you can use it there. So I thought, you know what, let me try that, because that's something new that I hadn't really considered before. And so when Shogun had reached out to me, I said, yeah, Well, let's check it out. So here's what they sent. What you get with the Ninja Massage Pro is the massage gun itself. You get this head, which they just kind of pull out, and they're interchangeable. You get 6 different heads. The gun works at 3 different speeds. It comes with a case over here, really nice, that holds not only the gun and the different heads, but also the charger as well. So it's really nice. It kind of just keeps it all together. This company itself, though, is based out of Southern California, and it is veteran owned, which I think is pretty cool. By the way, this Wednesday in the United States is Veterans Day. So I do want to take a moment right now to thank all the veterans out there who have served this country. Thank you so much for your service. Now, back to this massage gun. When you're using it, there's one button on this one. So some of them, I've noticed you have like triggers on the side, and then some of you have like buttons kind of in the back here. Reminds me kind of like of a hairdryer. But this one, there's one button, you hold it to turn it on, and then you toggle through the different settings. The first setting is like the lowest setting. And I either use this lowest setting or like the next medium setting. And this is what it sounds like when you're using it. So if I've got it like on my leg, oh, it feels good. It's pretty quiet, a lot quieter than I remember like massage guns being, and like other massage guns that I've worked with. Feels like it's a lot quieter, and you can do this while you're watching TV, which is typically how I use it, and it's pretty nice. And so one of the things that I've been doing, other than like just rolling over like all the major muscle groups, mainly in my thighs, like quads, hammies, and in the hip area, I'll roll directly like perpendicular to all those larger muscle groups and kind of search around. If anything feels like tight or tender, I'll roll over it, and you'll kind of like, you'll tense up, you'll feel like, ooh, there was something there. And then I give it a break, and then I come back to it like a couple seconds later. And if it doesn't feel better, then I kind of leave that area alone. I haven't really run into that. Typically what happens is I'll run into something and it'll be like, ooh, I'll feel something there. I'll move around, let that area relax for a second, and then I'll slowly like inch back towards that tender spot. And then things kind of really start to relax. And that's just a really nice feeling. When I've been using it in my tendon area, sometimes when I'm like, if this is the kneecap and I'm like getting close to it, if I'm directly perpendicular to it, sometimes it like hits the bone, and that could be a little bit uncomfortable. And also when you're doing it at the lowest speed and you're doing it like, let me turn it back on. When you're doing it at the lowest speed and you're going directly like against the bone, sometimes it like does this like bouncy thing, which is kind of weird. So you have to turn it up a little bit, and then the bounciness kind of goes away. But also, that bounciness can be a little bit uncomfortable, especially around those tendons and bones. So what I find is, instead of going perpendicular against it, I go like to the side of it. So instead of it being like percussive, it's more like it's rubbing against something. And so that I find is really nice right in the tendon area. And then sometimes like the outer, if this is my kneecap, sometimes the outer part of my kneecap is a little bit tender, and so using it like in this direction, I mean the gun's not moving, but I'm just giving you an example of the way that this, exaggerating the movements of the way this thing moves, like right around here. And then sometimes underneath the kneecap as well, I'll go kind of like in this motion, and so I'll work like my way around like the kneecap. The battery life is supposed to last a total of 4 hours, so you're gonna not have to charge it like every single time, and you should be able to go for like about a week or even more without having to really hit the charger on it. So that's pretty nice as well. It makes like the ease of use pretty nice. One of the things I will say that's not so ease of use with this thing is that whenever I put it back into the case, you have to take whatever attachment you have in it, you have to take it off and then put it in. It won't fit in the case with the attachment on. I know it's not a huge deal, but in terms of like just convenience, it would be nicer if I could just plop it in, pull it back out, because really I only use this head. There's 5 other ones, but 2 of them look almost identical, and I don't know, I've tried them all. They don't really feel all that different than just using this one. This one is my favorite one. There is one that is super pointy, like a cone. That one I really like getting like in my hip, like trying to get like behind the hip joint, right where like the femoral head inserts into like the hip there. If I try to get right there, that pointy thing really does a good job of getting in there. Otherwise, all of them are pretty much like the same. There's one that's like a Y-shaped one, and that one it's supposed to be for your IT band, and I guess you're supposed to like straddle the IT band and massage it as you go. Maybe it's because my IT band's not bothering me, but like I didn't really find that one to be all that helpful or really different. in terms of sensations than what kind of like just this round, softer, like this is somewhat spongy head was doing. So like this is the only one I need. I could just put it in a case like this. That would be the most convenient way for me to use it. But I am glad that it has a case, because then I don't have to find a way to like try to stand this up. This doesn't really like to stand up because of the way it's balanced. And I'm not just like setting it down somewhere. It has like a place it can go, and I can put it like in a drawer, in a shelf, that kind of thing. So that's pretty nice. Now, as I mentioned, I've been using it on my knee. I've also been using it a lot on my quads, using it a little bit on the hammies. I just don't seem to need it. Maybe that's just where I am in my training, where I'm just not overstressing those muscles right now at the moment. Maybe that's what it is. But it feels good, but like it's not something that I feel like I need every day. I have been using it almost every day though on my knee, but in terms of on some of those other muscles, I haven't really been using it. I'm somewhat reluctant to use it on my calves. I feel like with the calves, like I just feel like the fibula seems like it's pretty fragile. So I'm worried about like really getting into like the big meat of the calf muscle in there too aggressively. I'm worried that it's going to cause strain. I don't like getting too close with my Achilles with this thing. So like I've really only been using it for like between the knee and the hip. I know you can use it like on your shoulders, on your back, traps, that kind of thing, in the chest area, but I'm not really doing any upper body work, so I haven't really felt a need to use it there. So it's a pretty limited use case, but it's a very important use case, because here's the main thing about it, is for the longest time I avoided these things because I was worried, number one, about like doing damage from like my knee down. But I was also kind of thinking like, it doesn't really do anything different than my foam roller already does. And I would say that it does. It doesn't do the same things that your foam roller can do, because I've been working in terms of testing this thing out, using it every day, all over my quads, all over my hams, and all over my hip. And still, I've also been foam rolling, and I'm still feeling like tightness and tenderness that is different than the kind of tightness and tenderness that this thing might be able to detect and work on. And on that note, from Shogun, they also did send me one of their rollers, which is nice, because I do have a roller, but it's 10 years old, and it's literally just a big cylinder of white foam. It's actually this thing right here in the background. It's just a big long piece of foam. And this is different in two ways. One, it's got these nubby things, which, you know, sometimes I appreciate them, sometimes I don't. When I use the foam roller on my calf, where I'm not really too afraid to use the foam roller on my calf, these nubby things are a little bit painful. So I find myself more looking for this smoother area. But when I'm working on hamstrings, I do like some of these nubby things. It gives me a little bit more grip. But also this material, it's kind of like slick, and I'm guessing that makes it nice for like cleaning down. If it gets sweaty or anything like that, it's easy to kind of like keep clean. And if you had just one smooth cylinder with this material on it, it might be a little bit too slippery. So it actually provides like a little bit of like grip as you're rolling on it and laying on it and like moving your legs over it. So that's been nice. The other thing that I do like about this is it's heavy. It's a lot heavier than just like the styrofoam foam roller that I typically work with. And one of the ways that I like to use my foam roller, instead of being on it, I like to have the foam roller on me, and I kind of like roll it out like a rolling pin, and I rolling pin my my quads with it. And so having a little bit more weight makes it a little bit easier to work with, and then I can push and use the pushing motion to really get this into those quads. So like these little nubby parts are pretty good. But I mean, I wouldn't go out and rush and buy one if your foam roller doesn't have these nubby ones. But if you're going to buy a foam roller, the nubby things aren't so bad. Now, in terms of pricing, I'll post a link down in the description for this foam roller in case you are looking for a foam roller. But since this video is mainly about the massage gun, let's talk about that. The price for this is $179, which still kind of seems high. I know that's a lot less than some of like the bigger, more popular names that are out there, the brand names that are out there. But it's not as cheap as some of the other brands that I have seen out there kind of like in this space as well. But so you do get the case, you do get all the other different types of attachments, so you can at least try them out. And you're getting really good battery life, and it's pretty quiet. So I will admit that this is the first massage gun that I've had on this channel. So how quiet it is compared to some of the other brands that are out there, I can't really say. But in terms of just what I think is a reasonable amount of volume that this thing creates, I can definitely live with it. So it works for me. I've been enjoying using this device. And yeah, if you're looking for something that could really get in there and help you with some of the massage in areas that are hard to get with the foam roller, or if the foam roller isn't doing everything that you need it to do, or if you just find it hard to regularly foam roll, this might be the thing that you're looking for. So those are my thoughts on the Shogun Sports Ninja Massage Pro. Let me know in the comments if you have any other questions, or if you would rather ask me a question live, you can do so every day in my live stream daily, 3 p.m. here on YouTube. I'd love to answer your questions there. That's all I have for today, everybody. Thanks for making it all the way to the end of the video. Hopefully you guys are staying safe out there on your runs, and I'll see you in the next one.
Yo, what's going on?